before the war, there wasn't 100 people in all of California that surfed. Palos Verdes Cove, San Onofre, Wind and Sea, a few kids, but boards were so heavy, the water's cold in the wintertime, there's no fin. It wasn't a very appealing sport to getting the public enthusiastic about it. So it wasn't. Then the war came along and all the kids that were 18, 19, 20 all went off to the service. The rest of us, I was a little bit younger. I didn't quite get drafted in that war because I was 14 then, 15. So surfing stopped, and it wasn't until after the war that the servicemen came home. They had jobs, were plentiful. They had money from getting discharged. They had the GI Bill. They were going to school. And up until the war started, the work day was 6 days a week, and you only had Sunday off. Well, after the war, starting in 46 or so, it went to a 5-day work week. So people had money, they had more vacation time, or a weekend anyway, and surfing started to gain popularity because new products came. Balsa wood came into being. Fiberglass was invented in England to make a mosquito bomber. They made it out of balsa wood so we could carry a bigger bomb load. But balsa wood has no rigidity. So the English scientists invented resin and fiberglass to wrap the balsa wood to give it that structure and rigidity. So after the war, that became a commercial product, and that was available. Up until then, we had balsa wood made in the middle of the surfboard with red wood on the outside to protect the balsa wood, because balsa wood is very soft and porous, and water gets into it, it turns black and rots. And they only had shellac. But after the war, you could eliminate the hard redwood, have the whole board made out of balsa wood, cover it in fiberglass and resin, which was waterproof, and the weight before the war with redwood or redwood and balsa was 80 to 110 or 20 pounds. After the war, with pure balsa wood and fiberglass, the weight dropped to 35 or 40 pounds. So it cut the weight in half, and in my mind, that was the biggest advent in surfing world to change the whole sport, because then you could pick up a board. See, before that, you would leave your board on the beach. You'd just leave it there. Nobody would steal it. First off, they couldn't pick it up, and you couldn't put it on the top of a car. They didn't have racks. And I would come down from school, walk down Park Avenue, and sometimes my board wouldn't be there. I'd look around, oh, there's Joe Blow's got my board out in the water. And I'd yell at him and wave at him, and he'd come in, and it's okay. You couldn't hurt it any. And so it was after the war that the impetus was there, the fact that people had jobs, they had money, and they wanted more recreation. And now younger kids and girls could surf because they could pick up a board and only weighed 30, 35 pounds. So it made all the difference in the world. And besides the weight, you could then attach a fin. See, the fin was attached by laying up 6 or 7 layers of fiberglass from the board to the fin to give that, to really stick it on there. Before, you didn't have any way to bond the fin to the board. So the fins started out to be maybe 1 inch deep, because you could put a screw through 1 inch deep piece of wood into the board, but when it hit the beach, it would bend and break off. But the fiberglass, it would hit the beach and it was indestructible almost. We wrapped the boards in 2 layers of 10-ounce fiberglass, so they were as hard as this table. So that changed the whole sport, and that's where the huge crowds, and up until then there were no surf magazines, there was no movies, and that all came about in the first of the 60s. So by the 60s, the sport just took off, and the mid-60s was the highest volume of manufacturing of surfboards ever.